stream's going, and then I'll hand it over to you.
Very good. Thanks, Jonathan.
No problem. Okay, Mr. Chair, we are live streaming. It's 10:01 a.m. and you do have your quorum. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Welcome everyone to the Audit and Finance Committee. I'll call the meeting to order at 10:01. First item we have is approval of the agenda. The resolution that the agenda for the September 19th, 2025 meeting of the Audit and Finance Committee be approved. Have it moved by Councillor Leveau and seconded by Councillor Sandu. All those in favor? And that is carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest. Any member have a disclosure? Not seeing any. We have no presentations and delegations. Item 5 is items of reference. Not seeing any questions related to it. Consent items, we have none. Matters for consideration. 7.1, the audit engagement letter. Do any staff have anything further to add to that?
I think we have our auditors joining, Mr. Chair, if I may. Who's going to be stepping us through that?
Okay.
Joanna.
Joanna.
Happy to be here. Can everyone hear me okay? Perfect. The first item on the agenda is the engagement letter. Not a lot of change from prior years. It's just a regular standard letter. And as far as I'm aware, it's even standard wording, no changes there. So it just goes through the outline for the engagement for the audit of December 31st, 2025.
Thanks, Joanna. Do members have any questions related to the letter? I'm not seeing any, so the recommendation that item AUC 2025-247 dated September 19, 2025 regarding the 2025 audit engagement letter provided by Barker Tilley KDN LLP be approved. I have it moved by Councillor Fryer, seconded by Councillor Sandu. All those in favor? And that is carried. Move on to 7.2. We have the Audit Committee Planning Letter. Joanna, anything further to add to that one?
I guess the only other thing, I tried to think of little snippets in each one. So the only thing in this one is just that there's no changes to accounting policies. The last couple of years, there have been changes to the accounting policies. And this year, we're happy it's kind of status quo. So it goes through the normal items that we are independent. And we declare that now, and we'll declare it again in May when we meet again after the audit is done. And then it goes through our responsibilities, your responsibilities. But again, no major changes there.
Thanks, Joanna. So I'll have a question from the floor. Councillor Fryer.
Thank you. And just a review, I noticed that the interim audit's intended to be remote work only. And then I think in reading through it, you're thinking about 50-50 for when the full audit's done as far as remote goes. So just reviewing again the use of remote and touching base with the auditor and staff about that and how they feel about it all.
Yeah, I think we are fine with it at this point. We did talk to Joanna about it when we had the audit this year, and I think she did mention that a lot of remote work can get done, but it's always good to be in the building for at least a number of meetings so that we can cross paths on things.
And a follow-up question I was going to ask, the report shows about 153,000 for the audit for 2026. I didn't see, and it might be in there, what was 2025?
It would have been, sorry, through you, Chair. According to the proposal that we did a few years ago, it goes up by the rate of inflation, which I think I noted, I think it was about 1.7%. So approximately 1.7% lower.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the members? Not seeing any, so I have a recommendation that item AUC 2025-248 dated September 19, 2025 regarding the 2025 Audit and Finance Committee Planning Letter from Baker Tilly KDN LLP regarding the audit of the consolidated financial statements for the County of Simcoe be received and acknowledged. I have it moved by Councillor Sandu, seconded by Councillor Laveau. All those in favor? And that is carried. Moving on to item 7.3, the 2025 draft audit plan. Joanna, I'll throw it right at you again.
Excellent. Thank you, Chair. Again, not a lot of changes, but as Councillor has already noted that we will be coming on site. I think it is important for us to be on site. In fact, right now I'm at the MFOA concert, Municipal Finance Officers, and I have consistent staff on my team, and there was a few that had not met some of the members from your finance team until we were here in conference. So I think that that just kind of highlighted to me that this was important to be on site, and you know, some staff are excellent at getting back to us when we email them, but then others it's easier to ignore an email than a face at their door. So I think it will also create more efficiencies as part of our audit. Other things I've noted is that in the list of deliverables, one of them is the long-term care reports. There's lots of deliverables there, and it always kind of says as needed. Things like the long-term care reports, we're still waiting for the ministry to release them for 2024. So that's hard on your team because then as soon as it's released, there's only so much time. So just that's something you should be noted that we're kind of always lagging a little bit behind there, and nothing to do with your team at all. It's just the ministry waiting for the reports, but everything else is consistent. The only other change this year will be the implications to the audit on the insurance pool, the new insurance pool. So there will be some implications there. We'll start planning with the treasurer in October as to the implications to the audit on that. But that was the one thing we weren't quite able to kind of pinpoint what that will impact, how that will impact the audit.
Great, thanks, Joanna. Questions from the members? Not seeing any. Staff or sorry,
Chair,
Councillor Sandu.
thank you, Chair. Just a quick question. The timelines, the spring timeline, it seems like there's a lot happening for that timeline. Are we confident that we can meet it? And if there are any delays, what's the plan to recover?
Joanna?
Yeah, through you, Chair. They are very similar timelines to the years before, and I think even in the year of COVID, I think we still hit the deadlines. So I'm pretty confident that there will be no issues with the timelines.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Not seeing any other questions from members or staff, so I'll go on with the recommendation that item AUC 2025-249 dated September 19, 2025 regarding the 2025 audit plan be approved. I have it moved by Councillor Fryer, seconded by Councillor Laveau. All those in favor? And that is carried. Moving on to 7.4, the 2026 draft work plan. And I will look at Trevor.
Thank you, Chair. This is similar to this year. We pulled together this similar draft plan for the 3 meetings that are planned for next year. You'll see in there, we've listed out the different items that'll be covered in each meeting. So similar to what happened this year, we'll kick the year off with a meeting in February. In February, we'll cover risk items, the insurance, we'll cover financial policies. We'll look at compliance with the external audit results and how that's going. And then from an asset management standpoint, we'll look at the asset planning regulations. Also, we added last year budget document changes. If there are any changes related to the budget that's going through now, we could discuss any proposed changes at that point. And then in May, largely items related to the audit. So the reporting letter, the financial statements, etc., come through. We'll also have the investment report at that time as well for the year end, prior year ending. And then the same meeting that we're conducting today, we will have next year. This year we did add a couple of items like the procurement policy and real estate acquisition policy, but those were things that come up periodically. It's not something that we do absolutely annually. It depends on the need. So we do slot those in when we need to. But at this time, we're not anticipating changes next year. And if there's any questions, we can cover those.
Thanks, Trevor. So I'll open the floor to members. If any of the members have any questions or clarification. Well, I'm not seeing any, so we'll jump on the recommendation that, subject to deliberations in the affirmative, the 2026 draft work plan attached to Schedule 1 to item AUC 2025-250 dated September 19, 2025 be approved. And I will move it, and seconded by Councillor Fryer. All those in favor?
Mr. Chair, apologies. You'll need a separate mover aside from the chair.
So I'll move it. I'll move it.
Sorry, here, I thought I'd jump on. Councillor Fryer and Councillor Sandu. Thank you, Jonathan. And it was carried. Joanna, thanks for joining us. I'm sure, unless you're more than welcome to stay, but.
I will get back to the conference. Thank you very much for having me, and I'll see you all in May.
Sounds good. Thanks, Joanna.
Take care.
Okay, we'll be moving on to 7.5. We have the procurement policy revisions, and it's presented by Catherine Payne, Manager of Procurement and Sustainability Operations. Welcome, Catherine. I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you very much, Chair Norris, and good morning, everyone. And yes, I'm Catherine Payne. I'm the Manager of Procurement and Sustainable Operations here at the County of Simcoe. And along with me today, we also have Sandy Robinson, our Manager of Real Estate. And we'll both be presenting to you the revisions of our policies that are coming up. And clerks, if you could please bring up the PowerPoint that we have ready for that, that's great. Thank you very much. If you could advance to the next slide. So quick agenda, introductions, as I just mentioned. We'll go through the method of reviews and exclusions, just a quick reference to the policy that we've prepared for you, as well as a page turn on the policy, the procurement policy particularly, and any significant changes. Next slide, please. So our team does review the procurement policy every 2 to 3 years to ensure that we're maintaining compliance with legislation and trade agreements, as there's often change throughout the years, and those govern our public procurement, and to accommodate any new situations that we may have, or to clarify language in terms of process, because that does come up from time to time. Next slide. The procurement policy structure is laid out in a manner that identifies the legislative framework and the authority under which we operate. It's formatted in logical steps and considerations during a purchase. So we try and lay it out as the process would proceed. And then we follow the requirements of the Municipal Act. And that's really to describe the types of processes to be used and the goals, the type of procurement process to use, when we use a competitive process and when we don't, how to maintain integrity, openness, and fairness, protecting the county and our vendors participating in those processes. And then, of course, there's the regular review to evaluate our effectiveness. Next slide, please. So the key changes in 2025, there's roughly 10 of them, and we do address those. I'm sorry, I skipped through the council report, and the council report that you have there summarizes the key changes that are identified in this PowerPoint. I just wanted to draw your attention to that. So starting on page 3, we have item 3.3. And this is a change to increase the purchase thresholds for authorized purchasing contacts from 10,000 to 75,000 to 15 to 100,000. And authorized purchasing contacts are those people outside of procurement, but do have some training and are authorized to purchase for the corporation. You'll see that change throughout sections 5, 7, 9, and 10 because we refer to it quite often in there. And this change reflects the increased cost of goods. This change, the 10 to 75 has been in place for quite some time. So of course, cost of goods has increased. This does allow us to do some local sourcing and align with our peers who are also changing their values to ensure that we can get that Canadian content and buy Canadian in this lower range. On page 7, we have item 4.2, which is to address the unfair trade practices. And that again aligns with our peers, the provincial procurement restriction that's in place, and also the most recent federal Buy Canadian initiative. Next slide, please. On page 13, we refer to item 6.1.9. We've added some clarifying language. The language already existed, but we wanted to make sure it was very clear to our staff and folks who are referencing the policy, the impact of multi-year contracts and when we have the authority to go ahead and enter into them. On page 14, item 6.3.2, we've added clarifying language that the IT director shall authorize IT expenditures, and this is to ensure there's consistency in the IT software and hardware purchases. On page 23, item 10.1, we clarify the approvals required for deposits. There are times when we are required to provide a deposit for a purchase, and this just clarifies those approvals at that point. Next slide, please. On page 27, we have item 10.3.4 to 10.3.9. And these are revised to reflect procurement thresholds, as we've mentioned before. Add a staff project manager as a signatory on contracts, because that's not there today. And clarify that software agreements require signature by the IT director, and that's in alignment with having him oversee the approvals for all those purchases. On page 34, item 13.1A includes the addition of training and educational resources for operators, where the county is the service manager, traveling exhibits, and tourism-funded opportunities as non-competitive purchases. And these come up from time to time and generally are flow-through money. Next slide, please. On page 50, item 17.2.3, we've added the requirement for an asset disposal form, and we clarify the authorizations required for asset disposal. On page 50, item 17.4.1, we add the authorizations required prior to asset disposal. And on page 51, item 17.1.4, we've added language to accommodate the purchase of vehicles with extended lead timelines. As you may be aware, supply on some vehicles and heavy equipment has been a bit challenging, and so that allows us to do so in advance. Next slide, please. On page 52, item 18.2, we've reiterated the approvals required for asset disposal, and we've added 2 disposal methods. Again, on page 52, item 18.3, we've added language to exempt assets unfit for public sale from the disposal policy. On page 53, item 18.6.2E, we've added language to address the disposal of electronic waste. And on page 53, item 18.8, we've clarified the authorizations required for the disposal of scrap. And that is the end of the PowerPoint on the changes in the procurement policy. And I'll turn it back to Chair Norris for any questions.
Well, thank you, Catherine. That's great. Great update on those. I'll open it up to the floor, and I have Councillor Fryer with a question. Councillor Friend.
Thank you, Chair. How to lower my hand? Oh, I'll do that in a second. Oh, there. Thank you for the presentation. I noticed that there was a change where G from Schedule 2 was removed, and that has to do with the county purchasing cards. And I didn't see anything in the report. And again, if it was in there, sorry. Just as the reasoning of it, I know it's just a removal, so it may not have bearing on anything.
Let me just Schedule 2.
So the old schedule
Yeah.
had a G
Okay.
clause that was
Yeah,
about
let me just bring that up.
about county purchasing cards to promote where valuable, and then I didn't see it in Schedule 1.
Let me just bring that up very quickly. So I have Schedule 1 up here, and is this section 16 that you're referring to?
Section 4.2 on page
4.2.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
It talks about adding S for the new schedule, and I just wondered, it didn't mention about removing G from the old schedule.
Oh, sorry, I must be looking at the wrong thing. I'm sorry.
That's
Trying
okay.
to figure
And
out
I'm
where
sorry I didn't
you
get a
were
chance.
there.
I would normally send the question in, but I honestly didn't look at things until last night and this
Okay.
morning. So sorry about that.
Okay. G, okay. So I see it there in the
On page 7 of schedule.
schedule. Yeah. And now
Okay.
I'm just going to check this other schedule, Schedule 2, just so I'm sure what the topic is here. My computer is just thinking at this moment.
I just assumed it was I thought it was removed. Maybe there was extra wording
sorry,
somewhere.
I've almost got it there, Dawn, I think. Oh.
Okay, great. I'm
Oh.
having some technical difficulties
Yeah.
here, but I think I might be able to speak to that one if you haven't got it there. It's with regard to the inventory, I believe.
It had to do with county purchasing cards.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, the language that you're referring to is to promote where valuable the use of the county purchasing card and to utilize reports summarizing card activity to seek out further volume pricing opportunities for the county.
Yeah.
That is the one that you're referring to.
I just assumed maybe there was wording already covering it somewhere, but
Oh, so I see what's happened. So it was combined with F. It is actually at the end of F.
it's part of S.
I believe it's been part of F ahead of
F. Okay, it's
Yeah.
combined with F now. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's being combined there. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
You're good?
Yep.
Okay. Councillor Sandu.
Thank you, Chair. I actually have two questions. I think I know the answer, but I would like to be educated more, understand more. Why is IT the only department mentioned that requires the prior approval of the director? I think it's because of the software is in fast changing environment. But is there no other department that directly procures anything that's related to softwares? That's one question. The second question I have is, do we have any safeguards in place for anti-splitting? What I mean by that is if there's somehow splitting the contract into two to cover that $100,000 threshold, if it's over and 2 contracts are written? What safeguards are there?
Catherine?
Thank you for that question. So in terms of item 1, what we're doing is we're clarifying that the IT director must pre-approve and must sign the contract. It is processed, it's already processed, but we wanted to be sure that our users understood that they cannot purchase software and hardware without our IT group knowing about the purchase and approving of the purchase, because it does lock into our county systems, right? This is for consistency across the corporation. And there are lots of risks associated with buying random pieces of software and trying to bolt them onto the county system. So we bring IT in very early on that. Anytime there is a discussion of a purchase of software or hardware between the department and the procurement professionals, they'll immediately dial in IT to ensure that they're on board. And we may already have a solution for them. There's an enormous amount of technology that we have at our hands, and not all of our clients know that. So it was really clarifying language there. I hope that answers your question.
It does, and that's what kind of I thought, but thank you for clarifying. And for the second one?
And for the second one, so in terms of splitting contracts, it really is the P-pros that are kind of the boots on the ground there. And we also do audits on a quarterly basis. So in addition to if somebody's buying something, they will reach out to their procurement pro and they'll ask for help. We know the budgets. We have the budgets. We understand exactly what the entire budget is. And so we'll talk through that. And then we do a quarterly review by portfolio to ensure that that splitting is not happening, to ensure that people who are authorized to purchase are purchasing, that there's really no gaps in that process, because that can be an issue. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Sandhu. Any other questions from the members? Not seeing any. Trevor, Leland, you're okay? Okay.
We are good. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Well, thanks very much, Catherine. That was great bringing us up to date with the revisions, and not seeing any other questions. So I'll go to the recommendation that item AUC 2025-232 dated September 19th, 2025 regarding procurement bylaw revisions be received, and that the revisions as outlined in the updated procurement policy sustainability in the form attached to Schedule 1 to item AUC 2025-232 be approved, and that the necessary bylaw be presented to adopt the procurement policy attached to Schedule 1 to item AUC 2025-232 and to repeal bylaw number 6759. I have it moved by Councillor Fryer, seconded by Councillor Laveau. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thanks again, Catherine. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Okay, moving on to 7.6. We have the real estate acquisition and disposition policy revisions presented by Sandra Robinson, the manager of our real estate. Sandra, welcome. I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you very much, Chair. I note that Dawn is on here, so I don't know, Dawn, if you have any comments that you want to make before I get into my presentation.
I think Dawn was having a little bit of technical issues with the virtual piece, but no, I think you're fine to go, Sandy. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. So my presentation is very similar to what Catherine went through for her procurement. Mine is probably simpler than Catherine's. And so we start with the slideshow. I'm going to kind of jump between different documents, so I'll try not to hesitate too much in between them. So for the real estate policy, you could go to the next slide, please. We've done the same thing. We've done the report. In the report, it summarizes the changes to the policy and the policy review. I've highlighted the changes in the slide, so we'll kind of go through those and then questions at the end. Next slide, please. So the real estate policy was created in 2012, and there's been no changes since that time. There's been few legislative or substantial legislative changes to real estate and how real estate is dealt with. So we don't have the same legislative changes that procurement would have in their policy. The changes that we wanted to make to this policy to bring it more up to date from 2012 was to ensure that it remains current with the Municipal Act and other legislation requirements, and to make sure it's consistent with other county policies that are impacted by real estate transactions. We want to make sure that accommodate the changes as a result of also the rapidly changing real estate market. So the market has been very volatile. There's been a lot of changes, especially over the last few years, mostly with valuations. So we wanted to make sure that we touched on anything that dealt with those changes. We also wanted to improve and clarify on the language where necessary. We haven't outlined spelling mistakes or grammatical errors or anything like that. It's just major changes or key changes that we're summarizing. Next slide, please. So we'll walk through the key changes in the 2025 policy. So starting with page 1, we have paragraphs 1, 2, and 3. So that's the policy statement, the purpose, and the scope. And so the policy statement, just wanted to make sure that we updated the wording a little bit so it clearly defines our statement and it aligns with county programs, policies, and strategic plans. Paragraph 2 being the purpose, we wanted to make sure the wording of the purpose aligned with, or clearly aligned with, the policy statement that we amended. Paragraph 3, the scope, we expand the scope of the policy to include Simcoe County Housing Corporation and Lake Simcoe Regional Airport, as well as any other corporations that would be covered under the County of Simcoe, as owned by the County of Simcoe. So that's a change for us. They weren't specifically mentioned. Real estate has dealt with the airport and Simcoe County Housing Corporation a fair bit in the last couple of years. And so we wanted to make sure those were included in that scope. Next slide, please. So paragraph 4 is the interpretation or definitions. And so we've added and clarified definitions that are real estate related, including clarifying appraisal. We refer to appraisal, but we didn't define it previously. Life leases, limited interest agreements, what real property means, and what real property rights and interests mean. On page 4, paragraph 5.1, we want to clearly define the different designations for appraisers. So we have appraisers do the appraisals, but appraisers have different qualifications. And so we just wanted to outline what those designations are so that we could pick the correct appraiser for the correct type of property that was to be appraised. Next slide. So page 4, paragraph 5.2, this talks about the disposition of property and the notice of disposition. Since this policy was approved back in 2012, at that time, council changed from, or we recently changed from holding 3 separate committees monthly to holding 1. So the committee of the whole now monthly. And so that changed the notice period requirements under the disposition policy. So this is just to clear up that notice period. It'll allow us to do 14 days. It'll be heard at committee of the whole, and then within 14 days goes to council, and then we can do that notice. So that's just to clarify that timeline. It also allowed us to remove from the old policy Appendix 1, 2, and 3. So they're no longer required. We don't need to walk through that timeline. We now stick to that 14-day notice period. Next slide. So page 6, paragraph 5.5M. So this is a new paragraph that was included. So this is properties that are exempt from valuation and notice requirements under disposition. And so this new exemption is for properties that are of a lower value. And so where the cost of obtaining an appraisal report would exceed the value of the land, that's what the purpose of this exemption is for. So obviously saving the county money where we would pay $10,000 for an appraisal report for a property that could be only valued at $6,000. That's the intent for that exemption. With the price of real estate, that's probably not going to happen very much, but it is in there. Page 8, paragraph 5.9, so the terms of disposition. Subparagraph E was added as there had been no previous direction in the previous policy with respect to those sale proceeds. So it reads, proceeds from disposal of surplus real property will be credited as directed by the Director of Finance, the Treasurer, or as otherwise directed by Council. So that's just to clarify where the proceeds from a disposition would go or how they would be handled. Next slide, please. Page 10, paragraph 6.3. So this is new. So the acquisition disposition policy, we've touched on the acquisition piece. Mostly it's the requirements for the disposition that had been included in the original policy. And so in the acquisition portion, we had not previously spoken to the purchase price for acquiring land. And we can't have a set or a clearly defined piece for the purchase price, because obviously a purchase price will change for every different piece of property that we ever touch on for acquisition. So we just wanted to add a paragraph that would overall touch on how that purchase price would be established. And so that's what that new paragraph is for, just to set a guideline for what that purchase price policy would, or purchase price guideline would look like. Paragraph 6.5, development approval process. So again, this paragraph was added, it's new. And what it is it's a paragraph to distinguish between acquisitions completed by the real estate department versus acquisitions through the planning application process. And so any planning application process that allows for the county to take ownership of land through a site plan, plan of subdivision, severance, anything like that, those are excluded from this policy. They're dealt with by the planning department. So we just wanted to make that clear so there was no conflict between different policies. Next slide, please. So on page 11, paragraph 7.3. So this paragraph existed and it spoke to residential leases for Simcoe County Housing Corporation. But over the last couple of years, Simcoe County Housing Corporation has been building new builds. And in those new builds, they're putting in commercial units. And so the commercial leases for those builds come to the real estate department. So the change in that paragraph was to recognize residential leases stay with Simcoe County Housing Corporation. Commercial leases come through the real estate department. Next slide, please. And that is it for the presentation. Are there any questions?
Great, thanks, Sandra. Some great revisions and updating some guidelines here. So I'll look for any questions from the members on this key piece. No, I'm not seeing any questions. Trevor, Leland, you're all good?
Yeah, I think we are. If you are, as I mentioned earlier, this is something that we have not done for a while in this specific area. So as the needs arise, we bring policies forward. This is an example of one that's needed an update. And so I think Sandy did a good job walking through the changes that we put forward.
Definitely, Trevor, I agree wholeheartedly. And I see we have Dawn with us now. Dawn, anything to add?
Thank you very much, and apologies for the technical errors, Chair and Committee. I would just like to thank you for your great questions, and also to thank Catherine and Sandy, who handled that very well with me offline there. And I did just want to introduce them and just state what excellent work they do. And you've great staff in charge of procurement and real estate. So any questions that may follow the meeting, please forward them. Thank you.
Thanks, Don. We couldn't agree more with you. Okay, I do have one question. Councillor Laveau.
Yeah, thank you. Just a thank you for both teams for the great work that they did on updating these policy documents. It's very important, and there's very comprehensive changes. So thank you.
Agreed, Councillor Laveau. Definitely. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions. So I'll go to the recommendation that item AUC 2025-233 dated September 19, 2025 regarding revisions to the real estate acquisition and disposition policy PFP 2020-12-02 be received, and that the revisions as outlined in the updated real estate acquisition and disposition policy sustainably in the form attached as Schedule 1 to item AUC 2025-233 be approved, and that the necessary bylaw be presented to adopt the updated real estate acquisition and disposition policy attached to Schedule 1 to item AUC 2025-233 and to repeal bylaw number 6204. And I have it moved by Councillor Fryer, second by Councillor Sandu. All those in favor? And that is carried. Well, thank you very much, Catherine, Sandra, and Don. Great presentation. We do appreciate the update. So well done. Okay, moving on. We have no other matters for consideration. Confidential matters for consideration. We have none, which is going to lead to adjournment. Not seeing any other question. That the September 19th, 2025 meeting of the Audit and Finance Committee be adjourned at 10:41 a.m. So, have it moved by Councillor Leveau, seconded by Councillor Sandu. All those in favor? And that is carried. So again, thanks everyone. Trevor, Leland, Sandra, Catherine, Don, great.
Thank
Peter,
you very much,
Raj.
Chair. Thank you, members. We appreciate that. Thank you for the flexibility in getting this done today.
No,
Thanks,
we're
all.
good.
Thank you.